sometimes argue about all and anything in the entertainment world. One certified nerd, one anti-nerd in hiding, and one psychotically passionate mental case come together to bring you the culture of pop.
All right, everybody, it's the Culture of Pop. We are broadcasting live on YouTube. If you're listening to this anywhere.
Let me tell the wife.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
And yes, today we are finally talking about the Big Lebowski.
Hey, look, I'm that guy that they're blocking the face off on the
you're the, what do you call it? The Dateline guy. The guy they're talking to. How long did you do this, sir? So anyway,
how long have you been a pedophile, sir?
no, right there. Already kicked off YouTube. Gone.
Yep,
What?
that was it. That was
Anyway,
our 15
that's
seconds.
I'm getting a notification from him right now. You're kicked off. No. So anyway, we're going to talk about Big Lebowski today.
Thank you for this, by the way.
You're welcome.
It's
You're welcome.
It's a little mini all smoky apple pie moonshine. It's
nice. Very nice.
you know, just enough to piss me off, actually.
If it's anything like the last moonshine I had, that should do you in. So.
Yeah, well, when I was 10 or 11, my uncle came back from Tennessee with just a mason jar.
Yeah.
No,
and-
that's how you do it.
And he said, "Don't drink that," which, of course, I drank it.
Because when somebody tells you don't do the thing,
Well, yeah, you
the
do the
thing is
thing.
what you want.
Exactly.
It's like not laughing in church.
That's
Well,
how things.
right?
Yeah.
I drank the moonshine, and guess what? I never did again.
Drank moonshine.
Drank the moonshine.
Drank the
Until today. I'm going to drink that later.
It's delicious, actually. It's deliciously appley flavored. So where do we want to start with the Big Lebowski?
Well, why don't we start out by the first time we ever saw it?
First time we ever saw it. Okay. Who wants to go first? Me?
Well, Fred's texting. I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I
Go
know.
first.
Fred.
I'm letting the wife know. The wife is not seeing a stream so far.
Oh, I am. I got it on our thing, so I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, go ahead.
I saw the Big Lebowski actually in theater on not opening night, but the Saturday night. No, excuse me. It was Saturday during the day.
Okay.
We were playing Friday and Saturday, and I went because I was such a fan of Fargo,
Yeah.
and I would go see anything.
Actually,
You would go
I've
see
ever
anything by
seen.
the Coen brothers?
Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
And I saw it, I think, alone. If I wasn't alone in that theater on a Saturday afternoon, there might have been two other people in there.
It
And
doesn't surprise me. It's a tiny little movie, and when you compare it to a lot of the blockbusters that were coming out around the time.
And I
But
went to the
very
club that
effective,
night
though.
to play, and I kept ordering White Russian.
That was the first drink I craved. In fact, I was
And
thinking we should
everybody
do
was
White
like-
Russians for this episode, but
Everybody kept saying, "Why are you ordering White Russian?" I said, "Go see the Big Lebowski, and you will know." And they were all like, "Yeah, we're not going to go see that." And I was one of the
Their
originals.
loss.
I'm very proud of the fact that I saw that on opening weekend with 3 other people.
It's actually that's funny that you bring that up because I was sitting thinking last night that some of the movies that I've seen, because I just introduced my daughter to Pulp Fiction, and some of the movies I've seen that were big and were timeless for their period. Fred's drinking the new Metallica beer,
yes.
as am I. Anyway, I never
Is this
drink
the, is
ever.
this the drunk podcast?
No, it's not. But
Is
no,
this why this is here?
no.
Not by
No.
intention,
It's gonna take a
just
lot
by
more than
default.
Yeah, I know.
Gentlemen,
Trust me, I know.
give me some little kings
But-
in this motherfucker.
The thing that I'm thinking about is that Jim introduced me to, it wasn't that movie, but Jim introduced me to a lot of the early stuff. Like I can remember when he lived with us for a time period when he was back in Lima, he had lived at my house. And he had introduced me to Clerks. I can remember him coming home and saying, "Oh God, you've got to go see this movie, Clerks, dude." I don't remember how all these movies that were incredible came to Lima because they usually don't. But anyway,
Well, at that time, I had seen it, and then I came back and I said we have to rent it because it was I had seen it. I had seen it on, and Mallrats did show in Lima for a week, and I was
Wow,
one of the
really?
originals that saw that too. I saw it in an empty theater in Lima, just like the Big Lebowski. I
Sounds
saw
about
Mallrats,
right.
and
I can't count how many people will not watch Clerks because they can't sit through a black and white movie.
that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Whatever. They're going to colorize it. That's what Kevin Smith's new thing should be. He should just colorize it just for the hell of it.
Clerks reboot. Just
That'd
make
be
the same.
funny.
Yeah.
And then he told me about Pulp Fiction. I can remember him coming home and telling me, "Hey, you got to go see this movie. It's incredible." Blah blah So Big Lebowski for me, the first time I saw it, it wasn't because I was too young. I think it was just because I just wasn't in that understanding mode, because I've totally changed my opinion, but I didn't like it. Somebody had suggested it to me, maybe Hollywood Video Years, and
Might have been me.
and I don't think it was you. It was somebody. No. It was a girl. That's why I remember I probably watched it, because it was a girl. And I watched it and I was like, I kind of don't get it. And then somebody else told me about it when I worked at Hot Topic, and I watched it again and gave it another try. Plus, my dad's a huge fan, and he kept telling me to watch it again. So I watched it again, and I've watched it about 1 billion times since, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So that was my first time.
I actually wasn't a huge fan when I saw it the first time. I watched it and dismissed it. I didn't hate it.
No, yeah.
Just at the time, it didn't change my life, so I'm kind of with you there.
It was just kind of like, what am I supposed to understand about this? Because everybody was telling me it's this big meaning.
Well, I will say that when I watched it that first time, I instantly saw its cult classic status, even though it hadn't achieved that yet.
Yeah.
You know, it was just destined for it. It's like the first time you see, Perfect Dark or whatever it is with the vampires. I forget what it's called.
I have no clue.
With the Bill Paxton vampire.
Oh, Near Dark.
Near Dark, thank you. It's like the first time you see that, you think to yourself, this one's going to be a cult classic. There's going to be fucking nerds dressing up just like these characters in conventions someday, getting autographs from these guys who are also in costume. You know?
Well, it's I liked it because of the old school noir feel, where it was all told from certain person's point of view.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me, because I just popped my piece on person's point of view.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought I shut all that down. Go ahead.
That's okay.
The dude is in every scene of that movie. With the exception of the when they're ordering the pancakes in the pancake house.
Yep.
Dude is not in that scene, but he is in the car outside or whatever.
Yes.
So the dude literally is in every scene.
Yeah.
And it takes an amazing actor to pull off being in every scene and carry the entire movie.
Yeah.
Now, I'll have to look up, and I have done this in the past, and I'm going to do it right now while you guys talk about something else. But how John Goodman
there is nothing else.
didn't get nominated for Best Supporting Actor in that role, how he didn't get
I
nominated,
know, right?
let alone runaway win.
John Goodman's proven in recent years that he is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
He was proving it way back then, too. It's just like you said, nobody saw it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of my favorites, so just remind me later.
So I'm going to look up who actually was nominated for Best Supporting
Yeah, I'd like
Actor.
to know that myself, what movies were out during that same time period. I think I heard something about this, of why he wasn't, about who, and I think it had regards of what was playing at the time, or what was up for nominations. He just kind of got boxed out.
Yeah, well, he can. They should. There's a couple of retroactive Oscars. They should go to Kevin Costner's house and whip his ass and take his Best Picture Oscar and go give it to Scorsese with a note that says, "Our bad." That, and they ought to take it away from whatever the kid who's in the Wild Beasts and Where to Find Them, or whatever that is.
Oh yeah.
Wild Stallions and where to buy them.
Yep.
Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah.
Oh god,
They
creeps me out.
They need to take that Oscar from him, crack him in the skull with it, and go give it to Michael Keaton.
What did he win that for?
He won that for playing the
Birdman.
playing the
guy in the wheelchair, right?
yeah.
That's the only way I know him,
I don't
because I'm not. You know, the guy that's so smart used to be.
I don't. Oh, yes.
So smart. I sound like such a fucking idiot.
Smarter than
We
us
sound like
because-
Bill and Ted. This is Bill and Ted.
It is. It
Smart
is.
dead dude.
Smart dead dude.
In wheelchair. Who was that? Who was that?
Seems to me the only
I'm gonna
thing
call
that
him
you've
Johnny
learned
Cosmos.
is that Caesar was the salad dressing dude.
What was that guy's name? You gotta know it, dude. You're a bigger geek than any of us.
Stephen Hawking.
Yes. I'm gonna call him
Sorry,
Johnny
you were-
Cosmos, though.
There you go. There you go.
All right, here we go.
Ricky Brains. Go ahead.
These are the nominees for best.
For that same year, okay.
Really thought I was going to be getting it.
What do you mean getting it? Getting why?
Well, it just doesn't tell me anything here. And
In other words, why?
Here we go. Actor in a supporting role.
Okay.
We have Billy Bob Thornton for A Simple Plan. Jeffrey Rush.
He had already won for Sling Blade, hadn't he?
Yeah. Jeffrey Rush, Shakespeare in Love.
That was pretty big that year, though. Shakespeare was taking over shit.
And that was a great part in that movie, and he was good in it. I understand that. Ed Harris in The Truman Show? No.
No.
I don't see that.
That's for Best Supporting?
He's just playing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking like
He's
this through the
essentially just doing what I'm doing right now.
But Truman,
for 2 hours.
I am the creator. You know?
Did Jim Carrey get nominated?
No,
he didn't either, did he?
No.
Really?
They don't give awards
He
like
actually
that.
deserves
That's
that. For
bullshit. Anyway, go ahead.
That was the movie
Robert-
that proved he wasn't just Ace Ventura, you know?
Yikes.
Wow.
Robert Duvall for Civil Action. I don't even know. And James Coburn.
Oh, that was
I
that
don't think
movie
I
with
saw
John
it.
Travolta as the lawyer, Civil Action.
I never
James
saw it.
Coburn won for Affliction. Not one John Goodman for The Big Lebowski
Nope.
in here. And this is bullshit.
And to win against him,
I agree.
I am a James Coburn fan all the way back to the Magnificent Seven, all the way up through My Man Flint, whatever. James Coburn, they should pry it out of his arthritic hand. Is he dead?
I think, yeah, he's got to be.
Yep.
Well, they should bust into his house, go over to his trophy case, in his kid's house and whatever, and give it to John Goodman. And again, with a note that says, "Look, our bad."
But see, that if I recall, that was a really depressing movie, just the type they love. It was really, wasn't it Nick Nolte? And he was, I think it was really
I mean,
depressing. That's
even
the shit they like.
It is.
even the Shawshank Redemption, a few years earlier, got love from the Academy, even though it didn't get love from the general public until Ted Turner played it every day for 20 years.
I didn't see that movie until about 4 years ago.
Most of it's speculation. Most of it's stuff that's
You
like
keep saying shit like that, and I'm going to start drinking.
speculation.
No, that he hasn't
Something
seen.
more like I've never
Oh.
seen the
Shawshank
Shawshank Redemption.
4
Yeah,
years
we
ago.
have to do a show, and I was thinking about this earlier. We need to do a show about like movies that we just don't get that people love. What'd you
That's not a
forget?
bad idea, but that's not this episode, though. This episode's all about Lebowski.
No, I'm just saying though, because Shawshank, I've never gotten. I don't
My
get it.
fantasy
liked it.
football draft is in
Oh,
2 minutes.
jeez.
I fucking forgot.
Oh,
I
They're
regret
going
it.
to auto draft Ezekiel Elliott or some shit for me.
I have no idea what that means. Where would Ezekiel Elliott stand on the on like actor territory? Where would he be?
Well,
How can you compare that for?
he would be whatever actor is pretty good, but is a real pain in the ass to work with. And
Christian Bale?
yeah, he's the Christian Bale of running backs.
I don't know.
He's currently in Cabo, refusing to show up because he didn't get a pay raise.
I still say that fantasy football is basically Dungeons and Dragons for people who can't handle fantasy.
What?
Back to the Lebowski.
Yes.
Yeah, the Lebowski thing. What else, we were talking about why they didn't win or whatever, but I do know one thing about the Oscars: you never go full retard, and that's probably one of the reasons why he won it.
You can't say that word anymore, man.
Hey, what's his name? Just said it on the stage, and that's from a movie. It's a movie quote. It's a movie quote.
You can't say Oscars anymore, man. It's Academy Awards.
Academy Awards.
You just
All those
offended
people
half
named
of Los
Oscar.
Angeles.
Oh God,
Yeah.
sorry.
All those people out there named Oscar, that's their word.
Let's talk about some of the other people in the movie that we don't quite talk about. Like one of the characters that I get a kick out of, or that I like, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
That character is just, completely. I've met that guy a couple of times before, and it's so dead to rights, and so just he's that guy that's working for the big guy, and you can tell. And so he's really good in it. Who else do we have? The wonderful Tara Reid, who's in it for 5 seconds.
Like
The
almost
thing about
exactly 5 seconds.
Yeah.
the Philip Seymour Hoffman thing is the way he delivers his lines in that movie. I think by an actor of not so good chops, let's say, anybody that you could see on a Netflix movie of the week or whatever,
Right.
couldn't have delivered the lines that he did because he's so deadpan with the word dude.
Yep.
He's got to call him dude, but it's not like he's saying dude.
Yeah.
He's just like, we just don't know, dude.
yeah.
And that's
Indulging
Yes.
Jeff Bridges' character while remaining professional.
it is. is a brilliant performance.
It is.
And fuck him and dying.
Yeah, stupid. Who else do we have? Of course, we got the Jesus, but
Jesus, of course.
and we know he's making.
And I
he's
watched
talked
it again
about.
today. I watched the movie again today in preparation for this, and I can almost see that theory. The Donnie.
Oh, the
isn't
Donnie
real
theory?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there's
was
a
gonna
couple
bring
of
that
different
up.
theories. Yeah, there's a couple of different theories,
Well-
but the Donnie, not their theory.
But I do have a
ahead.
question.
Wait a minute. Before who may not know what the Donnie theory is,
Oh, right,
it's
yes.
that Donnie, the character of Donnie, is a figment of Walter's imagination.
Mm-hmm.
He is the only one in the movie
He's
that
an old.
interacts with Donnie.
Yeah.
It's
He's
always
supposed to
shut
be
the
an
fuck
old
up,
war
Donnie.
veteran of, or not a war veteran of his that died.
A war buddy.
Yeah.
Right.
That died in Vietnam, and
And-
he's a figment of his imagination. And
It kind of makes sense.
it does. I've watched it from that point of view too. The dude does interact with him once, but I
Right,
think
and-
it's to placate
Yeah.
Walter.
And
That's
there's
what I
in that.
said.
he placated him more than once because there was, if that's the case, because there was one scene where the dude's sitting here, Walter's sitting here, and Donnie's sitting between them.
Mm-hmm.
If Donnie doesn't exist, why aren't they sitting next to each other?
I just think that's bowling alley sitting.
But
I
that
mean,
was- I don't know, maybe, but that was the very same scene where
It frames
where
the scene
Walter
right,
and
yeah.
Donnie get up and leave, and that's when Sam Elliott's character comes in, but we don't see him sit down.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced his character's real either.
I don't think it is. I think his character is
In
just
fact,
a
I don't
narrator that
think-
actually breaks the fourth wall.
I don't think there was a seat there. I think
You're
those
probably
two
right.
seats were just separated by nothing.
Yeah,
Blew my mind.
yeah.
But no, because Donnie's sitting there, and then the camera pans over to the dude, and then it goes back out a little bit, and there's Sam Elliott.
But the dude talks to Sam Elliott though, and the dude does. I mean, when he's
I've
doing it
talked
to
to myself
Donnie,
in
he's
the mirror
doing it to
before, and just-
placate himself or placate Walter.
Well, when Sam Elliott was on set, and from all accounts, he's probably the nicest guy on the planet
Yeah.
to have on your set. And he kept saying to the directors, and I saw an interview with these two guys. They're saying Sam Elliott had no idea why he was there. He kept saying, "Don't get me wrong, I'm glad to be here. I'm happy to be a part of this, but what the hell am I doing here?" He was like, "Well, you're the narrator. You're the person keeping the story together." And he
Yeah,
goes,
and I can agree
Yeah.
with him. No, I can see where he's coming from. He wasn't exactly the star power of the movie.
No.
Everybody else was just as big as he was, if not bigger.
think-
His
yeah.
voice just, I guess, lends some weight to the proceedings. You know, his is the first voice you hear.
Well, it's like an old, like the Iliad, where the chorus in
Right.
in ancient play would carry the scene, or tell the audience what was going on, and then in between, because you didn't have the set changes you have today, when the curtain would drop, the chorus would come out and tell you what's happening in between these scenes, and then the curtain would go up. I think that because you had to wait for dude to get from point A to point B, because he's in every damn scene, you had to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah,
Right.
I can agree with that. I really think I'm looking up the rankings for the different theories, because there are some different theories that are kind of interesting. One of the things that you had brought up about the theory too was, well, what about the ashes at the end? Well, I mean, the ashes could have been just sent to him from his family members.
They could have gotten some KFC and just burnt it to a crisp.
But what I'm saying is the logical thing for them to do the ash thing is probably maybe his buddy wanted the ashes sent to him, and they just now got there. Or,
Even
you
so,
know,
for
we're
all
just
these years, I still laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
When the ashes hit him in the face.
oh yeah, it's hilarious.
And
It's
Walter
great.
just turns around. Sorry,
Well,
dude.
that has
Sorry,
happened.
dude.
That can happen.
Right?
One Thanksgiving day or evening, the night before Thanksgiving, my dad put the bird in the oven. We were going to have a late Thanksgiving dinner. The thermostat broke,
Oh God.
and it ashed the turkey.
Wow.
Lucky it
Wow.
didn't set the house on fire. We came back, and it was just
See?
two bones and a bunch of ash in
See,
the pan.
one bad Thanksgiving and they've got their ashes.
Exactly. One of the other ones is the dude is Jeffrey Lebowski's son,
Okay.
or the dude is the Big Lebowski's son, who's the actual Big
Right.
Lebowski. Supposedly from the
I would
Maid.
need to read that one in
Pro
order to buy it. It's like the Jar Jar is a Sith theory. You seem to be a fan of that, but I just don't see it.
Sorry, I want that to happen. I want that to be the case. And I think George Lucas was like, "Yeah, that's what I meant all along." When it's like,
Yeah.
Tommy Wisehouse saying,
Well, that's
"Yo, it
what
was
he did
supposed to
with-
be a comedy."
That's what he did with the whole Luke is Leia's brother thing. That wasn't supposed to be the case.
Yeah.
There's a book out there. If I can find it, I'll get it for you guys. It details the making of Return of the Jedi and how things changed so drastically.
Oh, I know they did.
From what
Yeah,
they originally had planned.
I had like a.
Well, Gary Kurtz quit over that.
Right.
Yeah, he said, "No, you're an idiot." George Lucas says, "Yeah, I'm selling toys. I'm building a playhouse, not an empire."
And he wasn't wrong, because that's what the entire prequel trilogy was a 6-hour-long commercial for some toys.
Well,
And we bought them.
And talking about
that I
Donnie,
bought, yes.
the character of Donnie is brilliantly played by Buscemi.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Whether he's a figment of Walter's imagination or whether he's an actual real person, the way that they have those conversations, it harkens back to the original MASH movie when people talk
right.
over each other.
Yep.
You know, and in that on those bowling scenes and everybody's talking over each other, that's not easy to do for an actor, and they just do it flawlessly.
That's why I was always impressed with Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow's chemistry in the Iron Man, the first 2 Iron Man films, because the way that was directed was the same way.
Yeah.
It came across as them talking over top of each other, and it just meshed, and there was an energy there. So I understand what you're talking about.
It's always better like that when you have real conversation happening, or you know what, like we talk over each
feels
other and shit
natural.
like that. Yeah.
It does.
I know that somebody on the set of MASH, when they were making that movie, called the studio and says, this director's out of his mind. He's letting us talk over each other's lines, and it's crazy. And he was like, I think it was Robert Altman said, wait for the movie to come out. You'll see how this is all working.
Yeah.
And that was really the first time that had ever been done. And now, yeah, like you said, Iron Man and definitely the Lebowski, there's where everybody is having their independent thoughts, and it causes you to watch the movie over again so you can see how everybody, that one where they're talking about the Lennon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Is absolutely the timing in that. I don't know if that's the first take or the 100th take, but whatever it took to get to that timing is absolutely brilliant.
It was perfect. Yeah. Yeah. One of the other theories on here that I just saw is Donnie is the voice of the audience, which I can kind of see too, because our perspective is kind of from his perspective. I mean, he's in the background just watching everything just like we are.
And anytime he tries to speak up, the movie slaps him down and says, "Shut the fuck up and just watch."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Pay attention,
right.
because shit's going down.
Yeah. And I think he carries the performance was brilliant. I mean, even he said
It was the only time I've ever watched Steve Buscemi and not been put off.
Really? You don't like Steve Buscemi?
I don't dislike Steve Buscemi. I'm just saying that's how he comes across.
love him.
I hated
That's
him
how he
in
comes
Reservoir
across
Dogs.
in all of his
Reservoir Dogs, I hated him.
That was more of a character thing, I think.
Yeah. It was
Maybe.
probably the choice he made on the character.
But-
Yeah.
Whether intentionally or unintentionally, every role he has is just off-putting in some way.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do a podcast on Tarantino coming up, and something tells me we're going to probably be wearing the same clothes we're wearing right now when that airs. But James Woods was supposed to play the Tim Roth part, and Tim Roth was going to play the Buscemi part, but James Woods never got the script or turned it down without reading it or something.
Interesting.
His mistake.
I can. Man.
Yeah, because where is James Woods?
You know?
Rage tweeting from his closet somewhere.
Right?
He still would have been. I don't know.
Piece of candy.
He was good in the '80s.
Ooh, piece of candy.
He was really good, man. Cop. Oh God, remember Cop? I think it was just called
don't.
Cop. James Woods played a cop
Maybe.
going after some serial killer or some shit. It was '80s.
Maybe
Anyway,
it
it was
says
really
everything
good movie.
about it that I don't. You know?
It's really good. Anyway, so who else do we have in our rogue gallery that we can talk about
we got
in
the
the
second
Big
Clarice
Lebowski?
Starling.
Yes,
The second Claire Starling, whatever her name is,
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore.
Andrews.
Her character is unbelievable.
Brilliantly played again.
Again.
But I do have to say, Metallica never had an album called The Speed of Sound,
No, they didn't.
and they
Nope.
never had a tour called The Speed of Sound tour.
You're right.
That
Yep.
was their tour, and I don't think they mentioned album name.
And I think that they have recently said they're going to name one of their tours
I wish they would.
The Speed of Sound tour. And I
That's
don't know if
fucking better.
I don't know if Hetfield was just saying that to be funny.
But will that make the Big Lebowski take place in the future? And if so, why are their cars all crappy?
Here's what you guys do. Okay, Metallica, you guys are watching this right now, I know. Here's what you guys do. You do a Speed of Sound tour, and then you take your little skull logo that you always use, and you put a little goatee on it and some sunglasses on. You're set. You're set for the Speed of Sound tour.
There it is. There it is.
I'm sure they're loving it. So anyway, as far as what about the spiritual side of this movie? I mean, the fact that it's created a whole religion on its own, the fact that it's created so many different people that, feel differently towards it, but still get like a spiritual sense out of it, or some kind of calming feeling from it. From the fact that dude is. I am too. Yes.
And I got to say that I've lost my certification, but I think I can probably get it back.
You can marry people, and you can. Yes, you can do it all.
I can perform a ceremony.
I can too.
You did it too?
I am.
We are all Lebowski ministers,
no,
or
no, I'm not,
okay.
I'm not
Oh, you
Church
did
of
it
the
for
Dude.
okay.
Dungeons and Dragons shit. Some I don't know.
No, it was paid for me by one of my best friends, and I.
Oh yeah, I remember that story.
I
okay.
officiated her wedding.
Yes,
but
that's right.
I am legal for the rest of my life. If anybody.
Yes.
Non-religious wedding officiant, if anybody needs one.
And I and James are dude.
Wait, hold on. First of all, I gotta sneeze.
Okay, so we're gonna wait for Jim to sneeze.
Having done that, what?
Sneezing's better than dead air.
What sort of certification do you have? It's not a religious. It's not a religious affiliated.
No, it's illegal.
It's just like a Justice of the Beast type thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Where'd you get that from?
I forget
What
the
back
website.
of what nerd catalog did you get that?
It wasn't a nerd cat. It was I forget the website. Honestly, I'd have to ask her again. She actually has access to my credentials right now. I never planned on doing
To your credentials?
any wedding other than hers. I never
Like what
planned on doing-
credentials?
Like the sheet of paper that says I'm legal.
You were acting like you were
So-
like a huge thing of credentials, like the JFK assassination.
It would literally take
She has all my
15
credentials.
seconds to get a hold of her and say, "Hey, can I get that printed
Okay.
out?" And she'd say, "Yeah."
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, but it was like the way you said credentials. I was like, what? What are we
Well, no,
talking
like,
about?
It's just legally proves.
Yeah,
I'm
it's the
allowed to
certificate
marry,
and all that
yes.
shit. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You're gonna do my wedding.
Okay.
I'm gonna dress up like Han Solo.
Oh my god.
She's gonna dress up like a blonde Princess Leia.
I'll be a really short Darth Vader, man.
And we'll get you some platforms. Don't worry about it. We'll get you a Robert Downey Jr. box to stand on. And you're gonna do the wedding, and you can. And at the end, you have to say, "I now pronounce you Han and Lang."
That's not even gonna work.
Well, our
What I
friend,
get paid for. I
didn't
don't-
you call Brian when it was? Didn't Brian do your wedding?
Yeah, he did our wedding.
And didn't you? Weren't you at Toys R Us? You were like, "What are you doing right now? You want to go to Toys R Us and marry us?"
Yeah.
So you got married at Toys R Us?
No, God, I wish. I mean, what a dream.
Right? Because as soon as I heard that story, I was telling Kim, "Hey, got married at fucking Toys R Us. You just called Brian at the last minute."
No, we ran out there and
we
met
were-
him at the church. It was pretty much non-denominational type thing, though. I mean,
tasty
Brian
beer,
was doing it as a
How
friend.
did you not burst into flames when you crossed that threshold?
I have been in lots of churches, man.
We should, and I said we ought to do this in the Star Wars aisle of Toys R Us before it shut down, but
Oh man, that would have been awesome.
we didn't do it.
No.
You could have walked through a thing of lightsabers,
Star
people tipping their
Wars-
lightsabers.
The Star
and-
Wars aisle and,
It's the
and
now- the
Meijer is
ceremonial
about 1/5 as impressive.
Beating of the plastic toys.
Are we talking about Big Lebowski or not?
We're
Talking about Star Wars weddings now.
We're talking about because it's called a segue, Brett.
Non sequitur.
Bowling. How many bowling leagues popped up after the Big Lebowski
Oh, yeah.
got big?
Right.
How many Persian rugs did some fool sell?
Yeah.
Considered buying one because it would
Tie the room together.
Yes. And what was the other thing? Calling white
Still
Russians
considering buying.
Caucasians.
Caucasians, yeah.
You know, I wasn't a huge drinker until that movie, and then I'd request a white Russian at every bar I went to. And the funny thing is, only half the bartenders out there know what the fuck you're talking about when you ask for something other than a beer or a shot.
What you should do is go in and ask for a Caucasian, and then if the bartender knows what you're talking about,
It'll get made right.
you get made right. Plus, and then you got to tip him because now he's in the club. But
Yeah, because he knows what he's doing.
only one time have I ordered a Caucasian, and I had to say that's also known as a white Russian, and
Really?
it was at a steakhouse in Findlay.
I asked for a white Russian at a bar here in Lima, and the bitch looked at me like I had 5 heads.
I don't know how you can drink them at all.
It was good.
It's
I
man, you're
explained
putting
to her
cream
what it
in
was-
something that's gonna be.
I put cream in everything right now.
Oh my god! The throw up the next morning.
Don't
that
drink
night.
the coffee out of his Spider-Man thing.
Why? What kind of coffee is it? Death
I
Wish.
don't know,
Usually-
some sort of
Well,
weird.
no, the Death Proof
hippie
coffee is, or Death Wish coffee is,
Yeah.
is what I'm drinking now.
Yeah.
Well, it
Death
feels
Proof,
Like it.
yeah.
It feels like it when you're on it. It does because you're fucking
Death
immortal.
proof. Yeah.
3 sips of that shit, and I was fucking Bugs Bunny. I was bouncing off the walls. But no, it's bulletproof coffee. It's
Wouldn't
got
that be the Tasmanian devil?
fat of some kind in there. Usually heavy whipping cream mixed with monk fruit in place of sugar, and you can put butter in there, but I don't put the butter. That's what the wife does. I put
You put butter in coffee?
yeah, oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I put coconut oil in there.
So like
What?
I said, don't
flavor.
drink the coffee out of his fucking
It
thermos.
gives it. I like it. It gives
Dude,
it a good
that's a
flavor.
lot going on in a coffee, isn't
Well,
it?
it satisfies the hunger as well as the thirst and the need for caffeine. So you don't spend all day saying, I'm hungry.
Now, do you drink hot coffee or are you drinking?
Oh, yeah.
See, I can't drink hot drinks.
Well, you can chill it. You can do whatever you want.
I can't drink coffee, so.
Well,
I mean, it's not that I can't. I don't. I never have. I mean, I have and tasted it and I didn't like it, but
well, I like the Death Wish coffee.
that's what kind my wife prefers too.
It's fucking ridiculous. Like I said on Facebook today, going from Death Wish coffee to regular coffee is like going from the high-end vodka to water. You just might as well not even drink it.
All right, so
You guys are killing me with your segues.
I know we're beating it around today, aren't we?
The dude never bowls.
Yes,
I noticed
correct.
that.
Never
Correct.
once.
Yep.
And every time Donnie bowls, he gets a strike, except right before
before he gets
the
killed.
chicken
And
buckets.
I remember
killed,
when I
but-
was watching it in the theater, I was like, well, that's not foreboding at all.
Right?
You know, and the way they pull away from him
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. And you just see the look on his face. He's really dejected, and yeah.
Like, holy shit, I didn't know
Yeah.
that could happen.
You want a toe? I can get you a toe. I can get you a toe by 3 o'clock.
Shut the fuck up,
With
Donnie,
nail
you're out of
polish.
your element.
And it's a quotable movie.
It is.
There's so many moments in it that I think have just become a part of,
And
pop culture.
People who have never even seen the movie quote this shit. And
Oh
don't
yeah,
even
and they don't know
realize
where it's
they're
from.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't fuck with the Jesus. I had a fucking 15-year-old kid say that to me once, and he's never even heard of the movie.
Maybe his name was Jesus, though.
Yeah, I didn't ask.
See, my daughter, who wasn't even born when that movie came out, but over the years, she would say, "Shut the f up, Donnie."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know she's never seen it. Well, she may have seen it now, but I know.
Osmosis. She lived with you, and you'd seen it. So
You're gonna hear it enough.
Well, I just had a memory of on my Facebook memories that a year ago yesterday, I had a mandatory Fletch screening at my house with my kids.
Mandatory.
I may
It was
have to do that at
mandatory.
my house.
Guys, show up with your Christmas lists. But we're watching Fletch. And guess who didn't? And guess who didn't? Jillian didn't show up with a Christmas list, so she got what I wanted to get her last year. And she just bitched about it the other day. She goes, "Yeah, I got a TV and a magic bullet."
And she waited this long to bitch.
No, she bitched before, but I cut her off.
Oh, okay.
You don't bitch at Christmas
Right.
that
That's
your
like
dad got you a TV.
pissing the boss off on payday. You just don't do it.
Yeah, wise. We got a guy who works for.
Wait a minute.
with
Did you
him.
just say you got your daughter a magic bullet?
It makes food. It's
Oh, that magic bullet.
or is it food
Sorry,
or is it
when I
mixed?
hear magic bullet, I think something completely different.
Can you edit that out?
No,
Jesus Christ.
sorry, I wasn't implying anything. I was just when I heard magic bullet, and I started thinking in my head, wait a minute, magic, wait, and then I was like, I got to go back to that.
Of course you did, Brad.
Okay, anyway.
I just saw a meme actually. I just saw a meme. It just says, yeah, I want to buy a magic bullet, and the guy says, oh, you trying to make some food? And he's like, no, I want to kill a wizard.
I thought that was a werewolf.
No, it doesn't have to be magic. Just silver for that.
Oh.
A magic bullet.
I defer to the bigger nerd in the room.
And one of them killed JFK, so they do exist.
Yeah.
Bird all over the damn place, right from the grassy knoll. Just
Magic bullet.
It should have been. You want a magic bullet? No, I want to kill a Kennedy.
see, that's why I liked the idea in X-Men that Magneto did that shit.
Yeah, it was-
just
Oh, yeah.
made sense finally.
Yeah.
When you inject comic book logic, that
Into
makes
that,
sense
yes,
finally.
it makes complete sense. It does. Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski. We keep coming
Well,
back to the Big Lebowski.
that's the movie. It has permeated into everybody's everyday life.
right.
So from the quotes and the way that something will happen, and I'll go, what? You know what? That Jaws thing on the wall really ties the room together.
Yeah.
There's certain the curtains that I bought, and I know this sounds a little on the effeminate side when I say that I was shopping for curtains.
That's fine.
But I shopped for curtains, and I was like, you know what? That's actually
like you were shopping for anal dildos.
Dude,
I mean, you can
toys in
say
you.
shopping for curtains.
The sex swing really ties the room together.
Yeah, the Vietnamese swivel fuck chair really just ties the room together. I would almost rather tell you I was shopping for a strap-on than tell you I was shopping for curtains.
Really?
Anyway, and I thought to myself, these curtains are really going to tie the room together.
Yes.
And I understand why the dude wanted his fucking rug.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It just worked.
And the thing is the whole time it's he doesn't want to be. It's funny because he goes from one to the next. Yeah, it's like at the one point when he gets out of the one car and then has to get right back into the other car. It's like
he gets out of a limo
they're just
with a
pushing
drink.
him the whole time.
Careful, man, there's a beverage here.
Yeah, and they're just like pushing him the whole time throughout the whole movie. Do this, do that, do that. But the whole time, I mean, I think that's why it's a classic. Because he just stays cool.
All he wants to do is drink a Caucasian, do a J, and relax.
Yeah, exactly.
And get his rug.
Yes.
That's the plot of this movie from dude's point of view is so simple.
Yep.
The rug.
The dude wants his rug back.
Yep.
Right? That's it.
All this other stuff that they
It's all
weaved
peripheral.
into this narrative. Dude just
He
wants
just-
his fucking rug.
He's riding this wave as it happens.
And he doesn't care about the chick ever coming back.
Nope.
He doesn't care about the toe. He doesn't care about the bowling tournament.
Nope.
He doesn't care about it. Dude
He doesn't
just
care
wants his
about
rug.
the fucking
Yeah.
nihilists. He doesn't.
Right?
I like
the fucking ferret.
I mean, some of the times, like when he's in the
Although I
bath,
imagine he was a little worried for a
He
minute.
was a
there.
nice marmot.
when he's in the bathtub before they bust in, I mean, you can tell like that's him.
Yes.
That's all he wants, just to lay there calmly, listen to the bowling tape,
And
or listen to
honestly,
some music
That's
and,
why the movie
smoke a joint.
resonates, though, because that attitude that permeates the society. That's
Yeah.
all anybody fucking wants. At the end of the day, is
Yeah.
to be able to sit down in their fucking bathtub,
Chill out.
relax, and not worry about anything.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's why it speaks to people, I think.
yeah, and like that scene there too. As soon as he tries to do something like that, life busts through at him.
Yep.
And that's the whole point of the movie. Like you said, it's like it's all everything's coming
didn't
at
have
you.
the rug. Didn't he just get back from the Big Lebowski's house and he had the rug and he was chilling? I got my rug. I'm gonna light some
And the
candles.
phone
Yeah.
just keeps ringing.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't even care, Walter, whatever you're tripping about. I got my rug,
Yep.
man. And they bust in and basically take the fucking rug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was the and I mean that was the thing he went for, and then it sets him on a whole new fucking course.
Yep.
And that's what it is. It's just one aggravation after another.
And you follow his point of view.
Yeah.
The narrative stays focused on him. There's no Donnie and Walter scenes together. Just him.
Exactly.
It follows the dude's narrative. The dude wants his rug, and that's all he wants. But with all this other stuff going around, he's so deadpan about it.
He is. He's
Yep.
sincere.
He doesn't care. You can imagine what happens next. He fixes the cable.
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's whatever. I know that guy. And he's like, he literally met that guy. He's a nihilist, and he's like, I met that guy.
Hey, I know.
He doesn't care.
No,
He wants his rug.
Yeah, exactly. And even with her, I mean, when he goes in to meet her, she's doing the art thing, completely nude, and he's not really affected by it at all. He's just kind of like,
She even
wondering
goes
what she's
on
doing.
that rant about how most men are afraid of the word vagina.
Yeah.
He's just standing there like, okay.
yeah. It's like he's just.
Can I have my fucking rug, please?
It's almost like he's just popped into these situations that, I mean, any other normal person would be like, wait a minute, what the fuck just happened? What did I just see?
Which is why
And
it's
he's-
so important that we all check in to see what condition his condition is in.
And
That
that is
song
the
means-
brilliant thing about that movie is that it's just really, really cool narrative where characters pop in and out.
Yeah.
That are very peripheral. But if you do look at the movie and the plot of everything that's going on, everybody has a purpose. There's no wasted moment in that
No.
movie. There's no
There were-
scene that you could have trimmed and kept and still kept the narrative going.
I agree. There's a lot of moments though where I was sitting there saying, okay, where the fuck is Donnie?
Yeah.
Donnie's not here. What the fuck? He just disappears and then comes back.
Yeah.
And that lends credence to that theory.
Yeah.
I love that.
And what Jim just said too is the fact that there's no scenes with Walter and Donnie by themselves at all.
Right.
Which lends credence because you don't want to see John Goodman in the middle of nothing talking to the air.
Oh, I don't know. That would have been hilarious, but out of place.
It'd be weird.
That movie is in structure, and probably I don't know. I've never read the screenplay, so I don't know if they did trim some stuff out. I don't know where that movie became perfect, whether it was in the direction, the editing, or the screenwriting. But that movie became.
Well, Jim,
perfect.
I think it was a combination of all three. I was just trying to be Mr. Movie Guy there for a minute.
I thought it was Pond Scum. And wherever that movie, and something tells me it was in the editing room, is where that actually became a perfect movie.
You could be right.
That's where most movies come together, actually.
The other perfect movie?
Jesus.
It is.
Oh my God, you guys.
Well, I mean, they do. It's editing, so they do come together.
Is it really Metallica beer?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes. And it's actually not that bad.
It's a Pilsner.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Pilsners,
Drink water.
but like I said, I don't drink, so.
I don't drink beer, period.
The other
so
perfect
it's
movie,
just- it's still
interestingly
tasty.
enough, watch it.
What is it?
Watch the movie I'm about to tell you. Watch this movie from start to finish. And after watching it, then maybe watch it again if you got time, and try to decide if you could take any scene, any moment out of that movie, and the movie would still make sense. And that's Tremors. That movie is actually
Challenge accepted. I've seen that. That was one of those schlock films that I used to watch all
It's
the
a great
goddamn
movie.
time.
that movie is taught in film school as a perfect narrative from start to finish. It is a perfect 3-act structure, and there is no wasted moments in that movie. That movie is taught in film schools for that reason.
Yeah, I just saw a thing with Kevin Bacon where he was talking about his career.
You're going to make me watch
he-
a 90s schlock movie again, aren't you?
It's a great movie.
Well, he was
I
pissed he
enjoyed
had
it back then. I just haven't seen it since.
Kevin Bacon hated the fact that he was cast in it. He hated
could
it.
not believe he was doing it, and now he's coming
sounds
back
about
for the
right.
sequel.
Yeah, he is. He's proud of it now.
Well, there comes a point in your career where you say to yourself, well, that's where the money started, so I might as well go back since it's not coming in anymore.
Kevin Bacon's got plenty of money coming in, I'm sure.
Oh, most likely. But I'm just saying, eventually you have to give respect.
So
to
they're
what-
making a sequel? Or are they making? Is it going to be like a Tremors 2, or are they going to ignore all the other ones they made because they made like
I don't know. I
6?
think it was supposed to be a limited series, like a 13 episode Netflix series, but it did get eventually canceled. But
Okay.
Kinda like that
Valentine was
Shudder-
going to be in it.
that Critters series that's going to to be on Shudder.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
wherever
that.
that was
I don't
going to
like
be. It was Netflix or wherever, one of the streaming services, and it
Right.
eventually did get canceled. But there are 2 scripts that when I was taking my film studies class that they would always go back to as perfect narratives: Rocky and Tremors.
Oh, really?
Like we discussed last time, I will agree with the Rocky thing.
Rocky is a perfect. It's
an amazing
pretty near
movie.
perfect movie. It's one of those.
And it's another one of those where there's no wasted moments in it.
No, not
Yeah.
one. Not one.
yeah.
But Lebowski, perfect from start to finish. You can't trim, I don't think, 1 minute out of that movie, and get the same overall effect from start to finish.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, and it makes. I didn't watch it like you did today. I didn't have time, but I am going to watch it soon, from the point of view of the Donnie thing again.
Yeah.
That was fascinating.
It is a neat
Especially
theory.
in
It's
those
really
moments. Especially in those moments where like I said, when he's just kind of between them, and they're separated. Because if that theory's right, and by all accounts it is, why are they separated? What the fuck is Donnie doing there?
neat. You need to see I think you can pull it up on YouTube. You need to see the interview with all 3 of them where Buscemi talks about the theory and how he talks about how he wasn't sure how to play the character.
I do want to see that.
And now that he's heard the theory, he's like, wow, he didn't even think of it himself, and now he kind of understands it to be that way.
Isn't there a moment where Walter says something to Donnie, and dude's like, kind of like.
There might be.
There might have been more than one,
I
actually.
think it might be when they're sitting at the counter
At the bowling alley?
At the bowling alley bar. I
Where
think
Donnie
he
was
says
sitting
something about
between
Don. Come on, Donnie, let's get a lane. And I think dude was like, again with the Donnie.
Well, that makes sense.
I got to look for it now. Now I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
But then that was connected immediately. Like I said earlier, that was connected to that scene where Sam Elliott just sits right down, and you don't see him sit down. It just pans back out, and there he is.
Yeah.
So that kind of, with that theory in place, if
Yeah.
I buy that theory, I almost have to put forth the one that Sam Elliott's not real either.
Yeah,
You know?
you could be right. I mean, I don't know.
He's a narrator that the main character for some reason interacts with.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a part of the main character's psychology. Maybe he's an aspect. Maybe he's a voice in there.
Maybe they've all gone to maybe. No.
Well, he offers criticism.
Are you about
I was
to go
thinking
deeper
of
down the nerd rabbit hole with Fred? Don't go down there,
No.
man. There ain't nothing but darkness and broken dreams down there.
I was thinking to myself, okay, so if Sam Elliott's not real and Donnie's not real, I mean, Sam Elliott's real, but is he? I mean, maybe this is just all taking place in the dude's head in a bathtub smoking a joint.
I would like that. I want a director's cut where
course
actually
you
we're
would, Cheech.
modern day, where they just grab Jeff Bridges today, the way he looks today, and put him in that goddamn bathrobe sitting on a chair, and he just add this scene into the end of the credits, because Marvel spoiled me on that. I'm always looking for end
Yeah,
credits.
I am too. Yeah.
Just add the scene in there where he just sits up and says, "Whoa, that was a fucking weird dream."
Yeah, exactly. That would be pretty incredible.
like-
They could re-release
Breaking
it.
Bad. Like
Right,
Breaking
yes.
Bad.
Yeah.
Newhart.
Yeah, yeah,
Which was a
yeah.
rip-off of Newhart.
Why
By
are
the
you
way.
still just staring
Yep.
at that? You should just drink. You got to ride home, right?
No, I got to buy a van off his dad.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, that's
Somebody's
that's
gotta
a
drive
fixed
it.
price, though, right? Oh, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Well, I don't know that I'm going to.
I'm not
I'm
wrong.
still going to give him the money for it. I can't take it today. I don't think I have to come back. It's gonna like Lane Meyer. It's gonna darken his driveway for another week.
That's the way he sees it.
It's a Better Off Dead reference for all you
Yes.
Steve Holland fans out there. That one was on the house.
What? This was '98, right?
Yes, sir.
Is when this was made.
I remember distinctly because I was working in Hollywood Video at the time when this came out.
I was too.
And if it hadn't been for you guys, I never would have seen the fucking movie. I never would.
It must have been Jim because I don't think I would have recommended it back
I
then.
never would have given a shit.
It must have been Jim, yeah, because
You
it
guys
wasn't.
watched it and we're talking about it. That's all it took for me. You know, the guys I was working with, the guys I was hanging out with all the time watched this, so I might want to watch it too. That's what it was back then.
Yeah,
I didn't get it either, so you weren't alone.
yeah. I mean, I think you got to see it a couple times. I mean, you know, but Jim's has went through film theory and all that kind of stuff, and I mean, it's a little easier to spot those kind of things when you've learned that.
I haven't. One of the things, and I was just telling Kim this last night because her son, who is, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, elemental P, however old he is, 5th grade.
Okay.
6th grade.
I
So
don't
it's
know.
11, 12.
I was a year ahead of everybody else. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not good with ages.
However old he is. We're watching Endgame. And we're at the end of the second act, and I said, I was about to say something because I had explained to him the 3-act structure of movies.
Oh, right.
The first act is the call, the getting together, we're going to go do this. And then the second
Joseph
act,
Campbell.
the second act is going and doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got to fail doing that thing. And then the third act is when you get redemption for failing. So
Yeah, like the hero's journey.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Joseph Campbell hero's journey.
every movie has a 3-act. Well, some of them are 5-act structures. There's no suck. But
And then Lord of the Rings had about 17 endings.
Yeah.
But that's beside
those are epilogues.
Yes.
No, and I turned to him and I said something, and he goes, "Was that the end of the second act?" And I said, "That was the end of the second act."
Impressive.
And I don't think that has anything to do with him actually listening to me because he's a 6th grader. He's not listening to anything I say. I think that
know I
after
didn't.
seeing movies enough, seeing enough different style of movies, you instinctively know what's going to happen, or what's this is the end, or this possibly can't be. They're going to fail at what they're doing. And we were watching. Kim and I were at the Independence Day sequel, and
I'm so
she
sorry.
said, "Is this a third act?" And I said, "No, not yet. The plan that they're doing right now has to fail before we get to the third act." And she was like, "Well, thanks." And I said, "Well, if you've watched enough action movies, you know that what they're going to do is going to fail, and they got to get redemption."
That's just how stories are told.
Yeah. So you see enough movies, you eventually just instinctively know. Like I'm sure that I could take, like the Shrek movie is almost exactly the same as The Rock.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
The
Yep.
reluctant hero being, dragged along on his journey, and you can take those movies and just make your own narrative and
Yeah.
pretty
It's
much
like-
scene for scene, just
it's
rip
like-
it off and
It's like
do
once you
things.
learn math, you look at the page and you see 2 + 2, and you know that that's going to equal 4. And it's the same thing with the structure of these movies, with how they're structured. You're seeing the stuff on the screen, you're like, okay, well, this happened, therefore this has to fucking happen.
Yes.
I guess I've never laid it out and seen it as acts. I've always I
And
can tell my
that
wife.
comes from plays too. Those
Yeah.
3-act plays.
Yeah, well, yeah,
that
but I
were
mean, I
structured
just
around. They were structured around intermissions to get up and go rest.
Yeah.
and
And I can't
just
tell you,
happens to work in movie form.
can't tell you what the first, second, and third act of The Big Lebowski are. I couldn't tell you with any degree
It's
of.
just a series of events.
it's almost like a continued stream of consciousness
It is.
what it is.
And there has to be
just
for the
the dude.
narrative to work.
Yeah.
dude
but-
with shit happening to him.
It's such a brilliantly laid out movie that it doesn't have those obvious scene, act closures where
Right.
it sometimes even the editor when he's doing his wipes, he'll slowly fade out and slowly fade in to let you know that here comes another act. Well, The Big Lebowski doesn't have those obvious things. It's just one long narrative. I'm sure it does break down if I watch it, from that point of view, I could probably figure it out, but I'd
Right?
pretty much tell you I'd have to get
Yeah.
on the internet and find out.
What I love, the Tumbling Tumbleweeds song that plays at the very beginning of the movie also plays at the very end. It was like bookends.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
it's perfect
High
closure.
arms
Yeah,
right now.
They just sandwich the seemingly disconnected events of this movie
Yeah.
How
into
how
a
high
cohesive
are you?
unit. Well, if you'll
All
give me
the
a
way?
second, I'll be higher.
Are you all the way high?
Just
Oh
about
my god.
stratosphere.
I've never seen it in acts like that, but I can right away pull out shit for my wife and
Dude, we're
say
doing this podcast from Denver. Just tell them we're doing it from
and say to her, okay, this is going to happen, or this person's going to do this, or I can see it that way. I think Jim takes things a little more professionally, whereas I take it like a 13-year-old. And I'm like, oh, Nito! Somebody blew up something.
And I'm kind of in the middle. I actually
Michael
kind of
Bay.
ride the middle line between those two.
Yeah, I mean, because I always get something out of every movie I watch, at least something, so I don't feel I wasted my time. Even if it's, man, that scene was really fucking cool, but the rest of the movie was a piece of shit. At least if I get something out of it, I'm happy with it. So I do tend to watch a lot of shit, but I'm not as selective as you guys.
By the way, I don't think we're.
Plus, I don't. You have
streaming.
more, or I have more time than you guys. But yeah, we're streaming.
Are we?
I mean, yeah, we
Is
are.
it showing up there? Because the wife looked and she didn't see it.
Live? I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
Anyway, we're still streaming. We're still going at it
Are
here.
we recording for audio at least because there's.
Oh
some-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No. Audio's
audio
definitely good.
We'll start drinking.
You're a
if
little
we-
high though. No, I mean
Should.
not in that
Fred,
way.
I was
Your
talking to you,
voice is a
Fred.
little high. No, I was talking to you.
I was talking to you, Fred. You're a little high right now.
I'm floating underneath those cheerleaders' uniforms right now, man. Just going down the bowling lane.
What? Oh, cheerleader. Oh,
Yes.
okay. For some reason, I had Porky's in my mind.
Right,
Cheerleaders'
that's-
uniforms. What was her name?
That's two.
Lassie.
That's one from each of you.
One what from each
We're
of
gonna
us?
get kicked off this fucking podcast. We're kicked off Google again. If you
I
guys
didn't
start with
say
this.
anything.
I didn't say a damn thing.
I didn't say a word.
Just playing with you.
I
Guys.
was just talking about the condition of my conditions.
Engine was in. I'm just talking about, talking about the anyway, old comedy bit. But I mean, to wrap things up on the Big Lebowski, where would you think it would stand in? I mean, obviously, it's going to be a classic forever. It's going to be a cult classic forever.
I don't think it would get made today.
It's one of those movies. I think it would. I think.
Yeah?
I think there's enough art movies. There's enough
Yeah.
outlets where this would have been fast tracked. And
Do
it
you
would,
think any changes would have been made at the last minute?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because-
It all depends on the form. If it would have been like.
I mean, I don't usually think about movies in this way, but there has to be something offensive about it.
I
If it was
don't-
in the late '90s,
I don't think there's anything PC enough
today's
to.
sensibilities, no.
I don't. I mean, the F word's never said. The
yeah,
other
okay.
F word is never said. The R word's not said. I mean, there's nothing,
Uh-huh.
and all the jokes make sense. They're not offensive to be offensive.
F word.
They're not. Yeah, the other F word.
What was the
not
rating
fuck.
on this? Was it an R or was it a PG-13? It had to have been an R because Julianne Moore's got her tits hanging out.
Oh yeah, it was definitely R.
There's
Yeah,
way
it was
too much,
definitely R.
way too much fucks in that movie.
Yeah, there's 17,
Okay.
17 to be exact, from what I heard,
Okay, yeah.
or something like that. I don't know. There may be
gotta
way
be
more
more.
than that.
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. Oh, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
Second,
That was my
17,
bad.
Shut the
I
fuck
was
up.
gonna
No,
say 'cause
No, I was thinking of.
the best pictures from
Something else I watched.
1998. Let's look at this. Okay, Best film editing. Why is
It could definitely be
Best
made
Picture
today, though.
Hollywood.
I think. I mean, who would want to? But
Best Picture? The Thin Red Line, which I don't even remember.
I do. It was a war movie.
Yeah, I remember it was a war movie, and I remember it was a Saving Private Ryan. You know, it's sort of like when The Godfather came out, and Goodfellas had to come along. You know, it was one of those competing studio things. Never seen it. Don't have any interest. It never came on. I was like, oh man, I need to see that important piece of cinema. No, Saving Private Ryan should have won, even over the Big Lebowski. But still, the Big Lebowski. Life is Beautiful. No.
What was that? That was the concentration camp one.
That was that was the thing where Roberto Benigni actually pulled off what Jerry Lewis
wanted to do, and I still want to see that. Somebody needs to release that.
There's an era theme going on here with these movies.
Elizabeth.
Who was that?
I think that's the Queen Elizabeth movie.
Yeah, it's with what's her face. Was it Gwyneth Paltrow?
I think it was.
I was going to say
No, it's not Gwyneth Paltrow.
It's some long blonde-haired actress that was big at that time.
No, it's the chick with from.
That's not the Kirsten Dunst one, is it?
No, that's the Coppola
I know
chick
what you're
that did
talking
that.
about.
But this one was with why Kate Blanchett.
Kate,
yeah.
Shakespeare in Love won. I think you can take Thin Red Line, Elizabeth, and certainly Life is Beautiful, which was a giant piece of shit. I don't know how. I watched it because he won for Best Actor. Remember?
Yeah,
he
I
stood
watched
up
it
and stepped on Spielberg's head as he's going.
Sure
going
did.
for it.
Honestly, this was the year I stopped paying attention to the Oscars because I felt like a bunch of old, stuffy guys
That
shouldn't be
movie was
determining what
awful.
movies
The
were good.
Big Lebowski. They need to just.
I don't think that movie was awful.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
sending a Dear
it did what
Cocksucker
it
email.
set out to do. All right, so we all agree. I mean, with PC culture today, it can still work. It doesn't have that much in it that. I mean, I think.
Well.
I mean, I really don't think there's anything offensive about it, especially, you know what? They would probably even put more drugs in it. Well, I don't know if the Coen brothers would,
but you never fucking know now. You never know.
Yeah.
The dumbest shit just stops getting made, you know?
Yeah.
But
I think he'd be. I mean, in these times of Seth Rogen and shit like that. I mean, it's another movie like that would be. I don't. And see, that's the problem. I'm worried about somebody like Seth Rogen. You know, 10 years down the road, going, I think I'm about ready to remake the Big Lebowski. I can see that happening.
You know what? You know what? At least do a sequel.
Yeah,
don't
that
say
would be right.
Because you know what? A remake of a classic movie is essentially some pretentious asshole saying, "I can do that better."
Yep, exactly. Yep.
I can make that classic movie better. That's how big my fucking head is. And no, at least make a sequel. At least pay homage. At least treat the source with respect.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to have some agreement from the Coen brothers. I'm sure they're not going to let anybody do anything they want right now.
Over here dicking around with you two, I drafted Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh my God, Ezekiel Elliott, the Christian.
And Drew Brees is 187 years old.
The Christian Bale of
the Christian Bale. I've got the. He's still in Cabo. He was refusing to show up.
And who did you get? Who else?
Drew Brees.
And what's wrong with Drew Brees? I thought he was good.
Yeah, he's 187 years old.
These names for my son.
Robbie Anderson out for the year. Oh my God, I'm so screwed.
Is this basketball or football? That's how much I know.
We're in football season.
Oh, are we?
The only reason I know that is because I worked in pizza, and that's when your business happens is during football.
I'm going to ignore.
Football turns people into ravenous. Into ravenous assholes.
So if you haven't seen The Big Lebowski, if you're listening to this podcast, you have seen it. You have seen it.
You had to have.
Because it's going to be in the title, right? It's going to say Lebowski.
Yeah, it'll say the Big fucking Lebowski.
And you know what's awesome? The Big Lebowski wasn't even the main character.
No, he wasn't.
The Little Lebowski was the main character.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Big Lebowski is the old guy.
Yep.
The actual Lebowski.
He was in it for less than
actually, he's the
5
medium
Lebowskis
because all the little Lebowski urban achievers.
That's right, the urban achievers.
Probably are of all of them.
Julianne Moore is about to have the Little Lebowski.
That was the sequel that she was trying to get made, was the Little Lebowski.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. That's funny because that's my gamer tag, Little Lebowski. Because I'm a short little fucker. All right, so that's anybody, you got anything else? Any kind of closing points or anything on Lebowski?
Just that I enjoyed the hell out of watching this again today.
Yeah, I'm gonna for sure watch it again. I got a couple days, so I'll watch it.
I was worried that I was going to be watching it at the same time you, like when I was kicked off at Endgame 11 minutes before the end.
That happened once, right?
Well,
I do have to say,
we knew this was happening today, though, so there was a possibility.
Ezekiel Elliott, if you're listening,
Oh, jeez.
get your ass to Dallas, because I also drafted Leonard Fournette, who I don't even think is a starter anymore.
Ezekiel, what's his name? If you're listening, spread the damn word, because you're famous.
And Meta World Peace. Who's that?
He's a basketball player.
Yeah, I know.
Meadowlark Lemon?
I just wanted to say hi to Meta World Peace.
He just said Meadowlark Lemon. Can we wrap this episode up?
Meadowlark Lemon. Where's Curly? Remember Curly Joe? Wasn't it Curly Joe? Funny story. I wanted to be a Harlem Globetrotter when I was a little kid, and my mom had to tell me the bad news that I couldn't play basketball.
You could have been right. You could have been one of the Washington Generals.
You could have been on Scooby-Doo.
You're right. You're damn right.
And did you know that the Washington Generals, they actually had it in their contract where if they beat the Globetrotters, that they would get a bonus for that game.
Yeah.
They beat them one time. The Globetrotters were messing because those games are actually competitive.
Really?
They weren't scripted.
Really?
They would do skits in between
Yeah,
periods of games, but that was actually a competitive basketball game, not scripted. And if the Generals actually won, they get a bonus, and they won one time. The Globetrotters were screwing around, messing around with the crowd, forgot about the game.
Yeah.
They won by 3 points.
Wow.
The coach of the Generals said so many children cried that night that he didn't. He said he could have shot Santa Claus in that arena,
And it still wouldn't have been the same.
and fewer kids would have cried.
Oh my God, that's funny. I've never heard that
person
story.
that actually fills me with a little bit of delight. Just
Shooting Santa Claus?
Hey man, they still sell out today. I mean, they sell out all kinds of.
Well, there's actually
places.
2 Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
And they tour at the same time, and I saw them.
Oh, I thought you meant the one on the Scooby Doo and the one on.
And the one on Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
No, I saw them at the Ottawa gym, Ottawa High School gym, and we were in the front row.
Yeah.
And one of them made inappropriate comments to my wife, and I was like. I said, I'm going to jail today for fucking
When
up a
was
Harlem Globetrotter.
this?
2 years ago.
Oh,
Wow.
so it was before me too.
So, yeah. He's like inviting her to the after party. I'm like,
Oh my God.
I said, I'm texting everybody, you might want to turn on CNN and see how this fucking finds. And one of my friends was like, CNN's not going to broadcast the after party. Funny motherfucker.
nice.
All right.
Oh God! All right. Well, Big Lebowski, check it out. It is a fantastic film, and
It is a must
we
see.
know everybody
Oh,
will like
absolutely.
it.
We find out you haven't watched it. We won't let you watch this show
We'll
anymore.
hunt you down.
Exactly. We'll hunt you down at your house. All right. So anyway, that was the end. Big Lebowski, and we're going to stop live streaming, and we will be back next week with another episode. We hope you enjoyed Big Lebowski. Have a good one, everybody.
The dude abides.